Good morning and welcome back. I'm Kendall Makamat and I've got your sports on AM News. Now, top of our stories for today, as you all know, it's about rugby, is the SABC's Vuyo Mbuli may not be in the flesh anymore, but his spirit certainly lives on. The annual Vuyo Mbuli Sharp Rugby Tournament, an initiative to promote development in rugby, and in particular school rugby in the Free State, kicks off this coming weekend at a bastion of South African rugby, the all-grey sport field. Joining me from our Bloemfontein studios is SABC senior reporter Richard Newton. Good morning, Richard, and thank you for joining us on AM News.
Good morning to you.
Richard, first up, we're sticking with a global theme today and talking rugby, but from a slightly different angle this time. Can you tell us more?
Well, of course, this is a great thing for development rugby, a great thing for schools rugby, and also a great way that the Free State Rugby Union, the local department of sports and arts and culture are actually giving back and talking about developing rugby. Vuyo was a great rugby fan. He loved rugby. And on that theme, the decision was that they would host this weekend, if you like, of development rugby, which will start off on Friday with a coaching clinic. The coaching clinic will be for about 200 kids aged between 18 and 11, so just really getting into the sport. And the Free State Rugby Union and Springbok Legends will be involved in that. We'll get more detail later today on exactly who will be involved, but it'll be a great coaching clinic to give the kids some ideas of developing their skills and becoming better rugby players, getting involved in the game. This will be followed up by a knockout tournament. There'll be 8 schools involved. These are for kids between 14 and 18, kids who've already got a bit of skills and playing the game for a bit, and that'll be a fantastic knockout competition to see how these kids are playing and at what level they're at. And then on Saturday, when the Cheetahs take on the Lions, there'll be a special march on the field by about 200 kids in memory of Vuyo, in memory of what has been set up by this legacy project. And all indications are that the idea is to make this an annual project. And of course, we always talk about development, and we always talk about needing to start at the lowest levels, and that's exactly what's happening here. They're looking at the young kids, thrilled to be getting involved in rugby. I don't know how many might change their mind after the weekend's game, but wanting to get up there and play for the Springboks one day. And this is a great place to start. And we always talk about where we need to start with development rugby, but we don't always put our money where our mouths are. I think this is a perfect example of getting to grassroots level and saying to the kids, this is what you can aspire to, and these are the guys who can help you get there.
This is very good. I mean, this definitely does feed into the bigger story that affects our society at large, and sport in particular, and even more detail, South African sport, that they're actually starting where it really matters, with youngsters, and to see how far they can go, giving them the opportunity right at the beginning.
And this is the important thing, that they do have that opportunity, not sort of pushed away in some distant sort of field far away from everyone else, but coming to, as you say, the old grey sports field where some legends have started their rugby careers, gone on to be real world-class players. And it's proper grass fields. And a lot of these kids come from areas where you don't have these facilities and these great resources to be able to play rugby. And to have that opportunity to get out there, to be able to hear from some of the great legends themselves, to be able to use equipment that is very important in developing the players, to play on fields with really lush grass, it all plays into it, and it all makes the kids that more excited to want to do this. And it's a great thing, and I think this is a fantastic initiative. And of course, as I say, Vuyo was a great rugby fan, and I think he would be really happy with this plan.
Richard, in closing, could you tell us what the mood in the Free State is with regards to the Springboks' performance in their opening match over the weekend?
Well, I'm not sure the word shock actually covers it that much. I mean, I think one of the problems was that everybody went into this game thinking, would it be by 30 points, 40 points, or could we put 50 points over the Japanese? And I don't know if the Springboks had that same problem of perhaps a little bit arrogant and a little bit over-expectant that we would just walk all over Japan. But initially, everyone was absolutely horrified, saying it couldn't have happened, what happened? And in retrospect, people I've been talking to have been looking at the game and saying, well, the Japanese planned well for this game. They tackled really low, negating our size. Once or twice our guys got through, but not much more than that. They've been planning this for a long time, and I think people are starting to realize that we didn't play great, that's for sure, but the Japanese played really well. They played for 80 minutes, and they played hard for 80 minutes. And the decision to go for the try instead of the penalty for the draw was a really brave decision. And they ended a 24-year drought, and we really need to look at what we did wrong and say Scotland are also not a side to be trifled with, Samoa are not a side to be trifled with. We really need to get our focus back going ahead.
Talking about the Japanese and how much they prepared for this particular match, early on I saw a clip by one of the assistant referees from the Japanese side, and assistant managers rather, not referees, assistant coaches. And one of the things he said, they have a drill called beating the box. And clearly it worked out very well for them because they knew exactly what to do. They've known the box for long enough. Eddie Jones himself, a former coach of the Brumbies, he's come across South African sides quite a lot. He's also been involved in 2007. He was also involved with the senior rugby side, the Springboks. So he knows very well the psyche of what he was going to be getting on the day.
For sure, and that I think is the difference between expecting to walk over a side and knowing what you need to get. I mean, I saw someone wrote over the weekend saying it was one side who desperately wanted to win and another side who just didn't want to lose. Yeah. And I think that also makes a big difference. If you look at the reaction of the Japanese after the game, you'd think they'd won the World Cup. I mean, the celebrations were incredible, and it shows that they'd really worked hard for this. They'd made the right decisions. They'd worked hard. The guys in the crowd were crying their eyes out. It was a 24-year drought they'd broken, but they worked hard for it. It wasn't given to them on a platter. We have to remember that. We didn't play well, but they really did play well.
Richard, with that said, in closing, we just want to remind everybody that the reason why you and I are speaking is because we're building up the new generation, the next generation, and it's called the Vuyo Mbuli Shap Tournament to see how many youngsters we can bring through the ranks, starting right at the bottom.
That's it, and it's going to be a great weekend, I think, and a lot of people here will be going out to watch this. It's great to see little kids playing. It's really the essence of the game when they're out there playing the game. And who knows, a couple of World Cups from now, we may see some of these youngsters, in the team. Hopefully beating Japan this time around.
No, very good. Thank you very much for bringing us some rugby positivity from the Free State. Now, that was Richard Newton, our senior reporter, giving us a sneak preview of this coming weekend's Vuyo Mbuli Shap Rugby Tournament.